Hi guys, you know I've been running my side hustle Small Batch Cookie Co for over a year now. In this video, I want to show you the whole unfiltered process of how I prepare for a farmer's market in 48 hours as a one-person bakery, how I develop new recipes, new products, price them, and just chat about how I built this very intense side hustle while working full-time at a tech company so that I can quit this tech job, which I just did. Hey guys, today we are going to hustle and prepare for markets, which is the biggest sales event for Small Batch Cookie Co with our current business model. For this upcoming market, I wanted to make two new products, cookie cereal and shamrock cookies. Before every single market, I tell myself I'm going to plan this way in advance and not make it a big rush for myself the day before the market. We have 48 hours until the market and I still have no idea what I'm gonna do for it yet. So that's how that's going. This morning I had some empty cardboard boxes coming in as well as some blank stickers, so I think I'm going to try and design the packaging for the cookie cereal, and then later today test the recipe for shamrock cookies. Tomorrow is going to be a massive baking day. Day after that I'll take you guys to the actual market. So my design idea is to make something very minimalist, so I'm just going to use this self-inking kit to print off the letters cookie cereal. If you're new here, my name is Evelyn and I just quit my job as a program manager after taking 5 years working for various tech companies to realize corporate is not for me. I started Small Batch Cookie Co in Beijing in the fall of 2021 because I wanted my baking hobby to fund itself. But since then, it's become my experiment to test out what it's like to run a business, what I like to do, what I don't like, essentially to figure out what to do when I eventually quit corporate. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this basic design. I'm going to sketch this out on the iPad, and yeah, then the box will basically be done. Does this make you want to eat cookie cereal? It's probably the most unprofessional packaging in existence. I used Procreate to design all the marketing materials, packaging, and merch for Small Batch Cookie Co. I've really enjoyed the process of doodling and designing and just creating something beautiful, but I've also learned I don't love it enough to ever want to become a designer or an illustrator or have the patience required for these jobs.
Oh, I'm in this too. Hello.
This is the final product.
Where have you gone?
This was the first draft. I think it was quite a big improvement. Okay, so I think this is an InDesign job.
I would say it's an Apple Pages job.
Should I put a black line down the middle to know where to cut?
Just print. And we hit
wait
print.
A second. Wait.
Why is that out? Oh, it's coming out. There's a little bit of paper coming out. This is how dreams come true.
Very slowly. This looks really good.
I'm very talented. Iteration 1, iteration 2. Although yeah, there was a very minor typo, but we're gonna fix it in post. It's about 10:30 p.m. We've just made some chili for dinner, and now you and we're gonna develop a shamrock cookie recipe. So usually when I develop a recipe, I would just look it up online. Then I would either take a non-vegan recipe and turn it vegan, or pick the better parts of several recipes, iterate on it to make my own. So right now we're just gonna browse for some shamrock cookie recipes. What I have in mind is more like a mint chocolate cookie. I want it to be a green cookie with chocolate chips mixed in. I think we'll start from there. This one seems very basic. I don't quite like the texture of it. This one also looks like really thin. I'm going for more of a chunky cookie. This one looks like the right texture. This recipe is pretty similar to the dark chocolate walnut recipe that I already have. So I think I'm going to adapt the dark chocolate walnut dough to this. 3 things I need to figure out are how minty I want it to be, how sweet I want the dough to be, because the dark chocolate walnut recipe I have is quite sweet without the walnut. I need to figure out the flour to sugar to butter ratio in this recipe and compare it with my recipe. I realized they have a higher butter content and lower sugar content, so I have doubt dialed down my sugar and dialed up my butter. And I noticed most of the mint chocolate chip recipes don't have brown sugar, so the cookies will turn out more on a crispy end, which I don't like. I prefer my cookies to be a little bit chewy, so I think I'm going to use still majority white sugar but use a little bit of brown sugar to add a bit of chew to the cookie. Another two things I gotta learn: when to incorporate mint extract and food coloring. Both of these things I have not dealt with previously. On this spreadsheet on the left side is a recipe that I just came up with. I halved the recipe size here so the test batch doesn't turn out to be enormous. The recipe calls for unsalted butter, but for whatever reason when I was buying butter, the price of unsalted butter went way up, so I got salted butter instead. I just took the salt out of the recipe. This recipe calls for melted butters. It's time to mix. Mint extract. Coloring. 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's really turning green. This is the dough. Normally this consistency would prompt me to add at least 1 more tablespoon of flour, but because this is a new recipe, I'm going to keep it as is. This is it. That's our cookie dough. The cookies turned out really good. I am going to wait until tomorrow morning to taste them because it's 1 a.m. I didn't get to experiment on the cookie cereal, but I'm just gonna do that tomorrow. I think we are doing okay. Good morning. It's the next day. It's still way too early to be awake. We have the cookies from last night. I'm going to make myself a coffee, try a cookie. For the rest of the day, we're going to test out the cookie cereal and bake. So today's Saturday. You might be wondering, Evelyn, didn't you have to go to work on Friday? Well, I took it off. I've always had to take days off from work to, well, do other work. I'll be honest, it's exhausting and I'm really burnt out, but I keep doing small batch cookie co because it feels really rewarding to decide what you want to do and then be told by your customers, not your boss, that you're doing a great job. This is really good. I think I'm gonna go ahead with this recipe. Okay, so I just finished filming kind of a promotion short for cookie cereal, and then I realized there are 2 problems with my current cookie cereal. A, they're like way too big, and B, I think they are a little bit soft. Like it softens really quickly once it hits the liquid. So I think the next iteration I'm gonna make the cookie cereal a lot smaller and also keep it in the oven for longer so that it takes a longer time for the cereal to melt. Another consideration I have at this market is there's going to be a competitor. The organizer had given me a heads up about it and asked if I'd be okay with it, which is very nice of her. And I said, why would I not be? So a situation I'm preparing myself for is if the other cookie seller prices her cookies much lower than mine, because I'm selling my cookies for 20 kwai each and 68 for 4, which is quite high compared to market price, but considering it's artisan and I do better marketing and packaging than everyone else, I still get a lot of people who are willing to pay for them. But if this person sells her cookies for like 60% of my price, then obviously that's going to undercut my sales. So that's why I'm not making a ton of cookies today, just because I don't have a lot of time and there's a chance it might not sell very well. But given that tomorrow is going to be a really great opportunity to kind of test out how my cookies stand with competition, hopefully get some feedback. I don't know if talking so much about business is boring for you, but when I was in college, I dreamed of becoming a strategy consultant, which are people who advise businesses on how to grow, how to become more profitable, how to deal with changing market conditions. I never got an offer for that job, but running Small Batch Cookie Co. feels like I'm being a strategy consultant to myself, and to be honest, I enjoy that much more than baking itself. It's 11 p.m. 12 hours until the market and baking hasn't even started yet. So far I've gotten done less than half of the items on my to-do list, so I really need to prioritize right now. I've made all the cookie doughs besides the non-vegan version of dark chocolate walnut cookies and shamrock cookies. So my plan is to start baking a bunch of the cookies that I have already made while making one of the two and just give up the other one. I think I'm going to make shamrock cookies because even though the dark chocolate walnut one is a bestseller, mint chocolate cookies are a bit more unique. I've taken a couple of notes from the previous non-vegan version. I think that version was a little bit too eggy for the mint to take the spotlight, so I decided vegan version would be the better choice for this particular cookie. I'm going to preheat the oven now and we're gonna multitask. Good morning. So it's market day. I woke up at like 7:30 today to finish up baking and packaging all the cookies. In the past, I've pulled all-nighters for markets because there's just physically too much work to do. I've tried to find help before, but with a full-time job, I didn't have the time to properly train the new person, so quality control became an issue and I could not go forward with it. I hated economics when I studied it in college, but Adam Smith was right. Specialization is the key to productivity. If one person can make 100 cookies a day, two people working together, each specializing in a part of the baking, can make more than 200 cookies a day. So if you have a side hustle and feel overwhelmed, it might be worth it to consider getting someone to help. Not only for the productivity benefits, but also to protect your mental health. It's about 10 a.m. now. I'm just wrapping things up here before going to the market. 3 things we need to do. 1, package the cookie cereal, which is a really fun part. 2, think about a table layout design. 3 is to pack up and go. Ideally, I should fit all of these things in half an hour. Don't know how likely that is, so we'll just try our best. I have a few of these baskets and I'm thinking for this market, I'm just going to put a kitchen towel inside the basket, put the cookie in there and find something to like prop it up so that people can see what's inside. So let's see how that might look. Not the prettiest thing ever, but I think I can be okay with that. I'm gonna quickly pack up these cookies. These are all my cookies. I've made about 100. This is a really heavy box. I'm packing up these boxes. These are merch. I'm gonna put this. We are going to print off the stickers for the cereal. There are just a couple of changes I want to make. Now I know the weight of the cereal. I'm gonna add that on, and also I misspelled peanut butter on the last one, so I'm going to change that. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really overwhelmed at this point, trying to cram in more tasks than physically possible to complete. Making the packaging for cookie cereal, for example, it's something that could have been front-loaded days or even weeks before the market with proper planning. Even recipe development did not need to be pushed until 48 hours before the market. As a program manager for my day job, without self-deprecating, I'm terrible at managing my own personal time. I let my days be filled with busy work like baking for the cafes I supply cookies to, washing mountains of dishes and baking trays, and doing my day job for 8 hours a day at the time this video was filmed. These are some things I've been trying to do to get better at time management. Planning bigger projects in advance and front-loading as much of the work as possible. Also, starting my days with doing things that actually matter and saying no to demands on my time that will lead to my projects not being completed on time. Lately, I've been bringing a vintage LED TV to markets to show clips from this channel that are about cookies. I've always felt like there's been a separation between Small Batch Cookie Co. and Tapioca Press, even though both are my projects, because I know a lot of you guys who are not in China might want to try my cookies, and some of my customers at markets might also be interested in my content. So this TV is my attempt to bridge this gap. Actually, lately at every single market, I've met one or two of you guys who also just happen to be there. Beijing is really a very, very small world, and it always makes me so happy to bump into you guys in real life. So it's a bit quiet at the market, and I guess that means I can finally give you a proper tour of the table. Welcome to Small Batch Cookie Co. Right here is where we keep our cookies. I always give really generous samples with illustrated tags so that people know exactly what they're going to buy, and I find that to really help with sales. Scones and cookie cereal, which we haven't sold a single one yet. This is our merch and Tapioca Press TV. I've also made contact cards and cookie care instructions, all drawn by hand. Sales has been decent today. I'm almost sold out of the double chocolate cookie, all thanks to Amy and Dirk who came by earlier. I just made my first sale on the cookie cereal. I was a little worried I wouldn't sell a single box. And then people said that I really like the mint chocolate cookie, which I'm very happy about because we just developed it together. Look who's here!
Hi! Welcome to Small Batch Cookie Company. Would you like to buy some cookies? This one is mint chocolate chip cookie.
She's so good at this.
It's a variety of different tiny bite-sized cookies. What else we have? Scones.
So my gross revenue out of this market was 2,400 RMB. I paid 300 for the table, 50 for transportation, raw material was somewhere between 350 to 400. Plus, I personally worked over, I want to say 25 hours on this. So if you look at all of that, I don't think this side hustle will be viable as a full-time job unless I rented out a proper shop and hired help. However, the most valuable lesson I've learned from running Small Batch Cookie Co. is that I'm capable of building something of my own and making a living out of that. Like when I started this company, I had no idea how to run a company. I barely knew how to bake cookies. I had no product line, no proper packaging, and I made labels out of torn out pieces of masking tape. But a year and a bit later, Small Batch Cookie Co. has become a brand loved by many people in Beijing. Like no one told me that I could build something of my own when I was in school. When I was in college, landing a job offer was the most honorable thing. Even better if it's in consulting or investment banking. And no one told me how good it feels when you're making money doing something you actually enjoy versus just working for the paycheck. What I'm trying to say with all of this is if you have an idea for a side hustle or have a hobby that you think can be turned into a business, honestly, just do it. Get started, tell your families and friends about it, sell at farmers markets. There's literally nothing to lose and you'd be surprised by what you're capable of. Honestly, stop watching YouTube now. Go just do it. Bye.